Hey, welcome back to the program. Do me a favor, take a minute to subscribe to the channel, like the video, tell your friends and family. Help me grow this subscriber list, please. Appreciate the support. It's not Taco Tuesday, it's Taco Monday. Taco, taco, taco. Trump always chickens out. What an example we just experienced in the past 3 days. My goodness. Late last week, China decided to tighten export controls on rare earth minerals and metals and related technologies, and barring its citizens from engaging in unauthorized mining overseas, which struck at the geopolitical battle between China and the rest of the world, the national security battles for countries dependent on China. Beijing has decided that foreign entities must now obtain a license to export any products containing over 0.1% of domestically sourced rare earths or manufactured using China's extraction, refining, magnet making, or recycling technology. This coming from the Chinese Ministry of Commerce. They're trying to prevent the misuse of rare earth minerals in the military and other sensitive sectors. Companies tied to foreign militaries are placed on export control or watch list will be denied permits. Rare earth minerals, big part of our modern economy, modern technology, military applications, semiconductor applications, EV and electrifying applications. So very important, obviously. It reveals again a dependence on China we should not have. And I remind you all, we have this dependence as a result of the horrible negotiating practices of US policymakers since the 1970s. And most importantly, by the Clinton administration and the Republicans in Congress in the late 1990s, bringing about the passage of permanent normal trade relations with China. In the midst of the efforts by the Trump administration to reverse our massive trade imbalance, President Trump has been using tariffs as the cudgel to get countries to reduce their tariffs for American exports, consider foreign direct investment in the United States, buy more US stuff. And it's been chaotic and back and forth and full of taco. Trump always chickens out. So in response to this decision by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, President Trump lashed out on Truth Social on Friday. And here's what he had to say. You can see this on the screen. Some very strange things are happening in China. They're becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world that they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earths and virtually anything else they can think of, even if it's not manufactured in China. Nobody has ever seen anything like this. Essentially, it would clog the markets and make life difficult for virtually every country in the world, especially for China. And again, this is the world's fault for all going all in on manufacturing in China. Trump continued, we have been contacted by the other countries who are extremely angry at this great trade hostility, which came out of nowhere. Our relationship with China over the past 6 months has been a very good one, really a very good one, given all the back and forth and the tariffs. Just not true, thereby making this move on trade even more surprising. I've always felt that they have been lying in wait, and now, as usual, I've been proven right. There is no way that China should be allowed to hold the world captive, but that seems to have been their plan for quite some time, starting with magnets and other elements that they have quietly amassed into somewhat of a monopoly position, a rather sinister and hostile move, to say the least. But the US has monopoly positions also, much stronger and more far-reaching than China's. I have not chosen to use them. There was never a reason for me to do so until now, all caps. The letter they sent is many pages long and details with great specificity each and every element that they want to withhold from other nations. Things that were routine are no longer routine at all. I have not spoken to President Xi because there's no reason to do so. This was a real surprise, he continues, not only to me, but to all the leaders of the free world. I was to meet President Xi in 2 weeks at APEC in South Korea, but now there seems to be no reason to do so. The Chinese letters were especially inappropriate in that this was the day that, after 3,000 years of bedlam and fighting, there is peace in the Middle East. I wonder if that timing was coincidental. Dependent on what China says about this hostile order they have just put out, I will be forced, as President of the United States of America, to financially counter their move. For every element that they have been able to monopolize, we have too. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps, as with all things, the time has come. Ultimately, though potentially painful, it will be a very good thing in the end for the USA. One of the policies that we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products coming into the United States of America. There are many other countermeasures that are likewise under serious consideration. Thank you for your attention on this matter. He went on to talk about 100% tariffs on all goods coming out of China. Not surprisingly, this immediately tanked markets. And I'll just give you two very obvious examples. The most sensitive elements to this are the stock market. Here's the S&P 500, crashing down from 6,750 to 6,552 to end the day on Friday. And you can see the massive impact on Bitcoin. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin, but this is obviously an asset sensitive to US-China trade relations. Bitcoin is a pyramid scheme, play it as you will. But you can see the massive sell-off on Friday from 122,500 down to a low of about 108,000. So the world was flipping out financially on the back of President Trump's response to President Xi's decision on rare earths. You can imagine President Trump's phone was blowing up all weekend. What the hell are you doing? From the CEOs of multinational corporations dependent on exports from China with low barriers to entry into the US. You can bet there were all kinds of calls from the heads of hedge funds, heads of banks. What the hell is going on? We just lost money. Stop losses were triggered in both the asset classes I showed. Of course, this went off in bonds and currencies and other commodities as well. The sell-off on Friday was the largest one-day loss in 6 months. Overnight Asian futures contracts showed a big sell-off as well. But not surprisingly, like Trump is wont to do, Mr. Taco, after hearing obviously lots of rhetoric from people that have been negatively impacted, powerful people with contacts to Trump who have Trump's phone number, or the phone numbers of any of his official cabinet members who are closely connected with the financial markets. Obviously, there was a rethink, and it started pretty quickly with a statement by J.D. Vance on Saturday. Vance emphasized that the U.S. remains open to dialogue with Beijing and that Trump's administration is not seeking confrontation. Vance said President Trump values his friendship with President Xi, even though he hasn't talked to him, apparently. He hopes the U.S. will not have to resort to coercive measures and is willing to engage in reasonable negotiations with China. So that was the first walk back. And then to make sure everything was okay on Monday and Tuesday, even though we have a holiday today, futures trading is ongoing. And of course, equities traded overnight in Asia. Trump said on Sunday in another Truth Social post that China's economic troubles would all be fine, and insisted the U.S. wants to help China, not hurt it. Really? Is that our goal, to help China? We want to help our rival, our strategic foe, get even stronger? That's not true. That's a lie. He went on to say, don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The U.S. wants to help China, not hurt it. Again, repeats that pathetic line. And so sure enough, in Asia, in the U.S., things are bouncing back. Equities, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, bonds, currencies, commodities. On another taco event by the Trump administration. As bad as that is, as weak as he is with China, how many times have gone down this path since January 20th? Tariffs on, tariffs off. And then we're going to tell me exactly what the tariff situation is with the U.S. and China. I'll give him $1,000. No one knows. Not even Trump knows. But what does really bother me is the potential market manipulation here. Who knew Trump was going to make that statement on Friday? Who knew? I see a report of one particular fund making $160 million on Friday on a short position in the face of a continuing rally market. Who knew Trump was going to make that statement on Friday? How many of his children knew? What did Trump do? And then on Saturday and Sunday, who knew that the reversals, the taco was coming? Who knew that J.D. Vance was going to reverse the statement? Who knew that Donald Trump was going to reverse the statement? And got into this rally, bought the dip. Who knew? Trump has done this many, many times now since he's taken office. I don't like it. I believe in his policies. I don't believe in his rhetoric. I don't believe in this back and forth with the tariffs. Make a plan, stick to it. But who knew about these market moves coming? Who knew about these statements coming? There's lots of uncertainty in China right now with respect to exactly the particular power and position Xi is in based on internal CCP domestic politics. There's lots of back and forth headlines. There's rumors of illness and stroke, power plays internally. What markets are waiting for to see if Xi even shows up at the APEC conference coming up in South Korea. Anyway, it's Taco Monday. Thanks to President Donald Trump. The waffling continues. The threats and retractions continue. Enjoy your taco on Monday. That's all I have for you right now. Always try to buy American.